everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. I am your host, Timucin, over here in Chicago. We are back in action. Gally is with us. This is not coordinated, but we're wearing all blacks over here, like the funeral is set up. If Bickler was here with his dark black stash, it would be the perfect fit, but I don't even know where he's at. He's out and about somewhere for work, training or poisoning some like fresh minds somewhere over there. But yes, I am your host, Timucin, in freaking cold as hell and snowy Chicago. I was talking to I think Matush, where I took a huge tumble, or maybe it was Kazi. Actually, we're talking on Friday, so that's finally gone because I could barely breathe, or like kind of like bend to or a bit to my left. So I'll probably fall again tomorrow and get that balance. But Gally is in the house wearing all black.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, black, takes 50 pounds off, they say. They don't
that's
say
not
that,
good.
but I just made it
That's
up.
not good because if black takes 50 pounds off, I weigh -3.
Yeah, you should be wearing horizontal stripes. That's what you should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the hoops. I did wear black. I jokingly said in the Discord channel, I'm wearing black tonight, kind of like because it feels like I'm kind of going to a funeral, which is weird seeing the fact that last week we talked and we were like, let's just get results in all the matches this week. And we did, and it's still not good enough. And I know they're not good enough. I think 7 out of 9, we probably would have taken it, even though we wanted all 9. But we'll get into it tonight. We'll get into everything from the coaching stuff to the Mo stuff. I'm sure we'll get into the match against Leeds. But it's really tough right now. It really is. It's really tough to be a Liverpool supporter. Just the drama that comes with it. I think it's worse than the results, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, I had to do Rival Bros with Edip tomorrow, and they won today. I know it was Wolves, but I got to hear that from him tomorrow all day. And, aside from the drama, I mean, aside from the results, like you said, I think with results, you could always say, hey, with this much potential, eventually you're going to figure out the right formula, right measurements, right? So the dough is well, and, so the final product is good. But with the drama added, which I am not, for some reason, I am not down as much with the drama as most are. Maybe because I'm not as surprised. We kind of knew this was coming. So we'll probably talk about that. I would rather talk about the game, but it's kind of like, we have to kind of talk about the drama that Mo has brought upon us. But I guess when I say I'm not surprised, I'm more going after the fact that we kind of knew this. So when we talked about this for the last month and a half on Monday nights, right? Hey, during AFCON, we'll do this. The reason we kept saying that is not only because Mo is going to be gone. I always at least said it. I know about you, Gally, but I was like, hey, Mo is not going to be there to create drama when he's not playing. And we're playing with this formation. It wasn't like Mo's not gone anyway. We'll try this. It was more like it's a good time to try it while he's gone and he can cause drama. That is why when we sat here last Monday, I expected him to start on against Sunderland. And then I was shocked when he didn't start against Leeds because I thought Slot would kind of punt it away a little bit and say, oh yeah, he gets to start over here before it becomes a big issue. He goes, we do our own thing while he goes, and hopefully it works. So it's not as bad of a drama when he comes back. So when that didn't happen, probably because he does feel the heat and he has to change things right now, right then, people ask for changes. People ask for Mo to be benched, and I don't care who denies it now in the chats or on Discord or whatever in the groups. People ask for Mo to be benched, challenge Slot, talk shit about Slot because he was not benching, like certain players and stuff. But now that agenda has turned around, but this is Mo being Mo, a guy who never talks until he gets affected. He did the same shit with the contract. We're constantly losing. Carragher literally calls him out for not saying anything while all the other players are like apologizing and stuff like that. He doesn't say shit for weeks where we're losing, but the moment he gets benched back to back, he comes out of the shower, is like, I'll meet you guys. But I think he's done that 3 times, and it was always has been for his contracts or because he got benched. So it's as selfish as it gets. It kind of sucks because I do like Mo. He's a legend of the club, but sadly, this is him. This is part of the what you're getting with Mo.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, right? Like we've talked about great players, and sometimes what makes these players the 1% of 1% that allows them to become so great is how maniacal they are and how selfish they are, right? Like we talk about him being selfish when he doesn't pass, and you're like, well, that's what you want out of your great strikers, and they score goals. Ronaldo's done it before. We've seen other players do it. In some ways, this does eerily feel similar to Ronaldo kicking up to get out of Man United at the end there with that whole thing against Chelsea and walking off the pitch and showing up Ten Hag. And like, and I don't want to compare those two players because it feels unfair, but this is what we do, right? As fans, we support why we can clown another club for how they act. But then we're like, well, let's be real. What Marcus Rashford and other United players have done to multiple managers over the years by having the power and basically trying to air dirty laundry to get managers fired is what Mo Salah thought he was going to do. He genuinely, in his heart, thought he was going to make those comments, and it might put more pressure on the club to fire the manager. I actually think it's the opposite. I think the club doubled down on the manager because of what Mo Salah did.
Yes, exactly.
And I think it was a huge calculated mistake by him and his agent, because I think the agent runs most of Mo's life. But I don't give Mo a pass on that at all because that's on him. The agent represents you. And if he gives you bad advice, that's on you. So what he said to me is out of line. What he said was uncalled for at the absolute worst time. And it put more pressure on his teammates. And more importantly, it put more pressure on the club. And I think it absolutely backfired on him, in my opinion.
I think so because the response, and you might be right. I think they did see this coming, and for all those people saying like, "Oh, he's so," like that's what's like gets to me a lot is people making excuses for it. There's no freaking excuse for this. It's what we call inexcusable. So for him to do that, because it wasn't the heat of the moment. It's not like they caught him as he's leaving the pitch and he said it or something like that. He went, took a shower or whatever, got ready, came back out, and then did it. So he had time to cool off. Here's my question to you, because we were actually just talking about it with Angel. I know we talked about it with Matush in the morning, but what do you think? Do you look, this was in his mind probably the whole game, right? Then it goes 2-0. He's probably like, I don't know. Now I don't know if this is a good time to come out and like throw a temper tantrum now. Do you think if that game ends 3-2, he does the same exact thing? I'm kind of torn on it. You think
I
so,
actually
really?
do. I do. He did it last year. We win 3-2 against Southampton on the road. Really emotional game. We're trying to go for the title. He goes in the mix zone and voluntarily gives the I'm more out than in comment when all the club is trying to rally around winning a title. And he wants to tell everyone he's a leader at this club. And he's out there talking about himself. And for all the people who, railed on the rat that plays at Madrid now, because, it's bigger. It's bigger than Trent Alexander-Arnold at this club. The club is always bigger than any player. Is now trying to tell me that, Arne Slot lost the plot and he isn't communicating with the players. Let me just fill everybody in. Arne Slot doesn't owe Mo Salah a goddamn thing. We and the club owe Mo Salah a lot. His job is to win football matches. Half of the people in this chat and half the people on all the trolling websites that we read have been trying to fire the man for a month. A week ago, we lost 3 matches, right? To Forest, PSV, and City. And all anyone said was we need change. I need to not see Kanate, drop Mo, change the formation, play Ekitike and Isak together. We may not like the results, but those were 3 straight losses and 11 goals conceded. We got a win and 2 draws this week without Mo Salah starting. And I understand we want it better than those 2 draws, but that's an improvement. The manager is tasked with improving the results. And the results are important. So for me, what happens and how he goes about it doesn't really impact me. When they're up 2-0 on the 70th minute mark before Konate slides in for no reason and gives up a penalty
And
that
a goddamn angle for some odd reason.
Someone will have to explain to me the whole entire thing, right? There was never a reason to bring Mo Salah into that match. Ever. Not up 2-0, not at 2-2, and we take the lead at 3-2. So this is down to the players' mentality again. And people can say, oh, as soon as it got hard, the manager, they don't have faith in the manager. They had pretty good faith for 70 minutes because they were actually playing out the tactics he wanted, and it did what they needed. They didn't play great. They were defensive. They were in shape. They were balanced, and they took the lead. And even when they got pegged back, they found a way to take a 3-2 lead.
Yes.
I didn't love all the subs, but putting Mo Salah in or not had nothing to do with this. And those comments were coming out, in my opinion, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, Dara agrees with you that the score is relevant and it's him being on the bench. That's probably true. I just did not know. Like, the contract talk was different, right? Like, we were on such a high. Nobody wanted the boat rocked. So he could come out and say that then. It wasn't as, like, no fan said, I mean, we did, but most fans did not say, well, this is not the time for this or anything like that when he came out with that. You know, we were like, oh, he's trying to get attention. And everybody said, pay him the money and stuff. Like, nobody took that as a negative on Mo. I feel like if we had won and if he comes back, I mean, this backfired the way it has already, right? I think he would be smart enough to know. I don't think he knew that this would backfire like this, right? I think everybody already has the pitchforks out for Slot. So it would be more like, Mo is right. I already see. I don't think if we're winning, nobody's making these excuses for Mo. Everybody's calling him out because the results are not great. He's like, well, he's got a point. And, you know, like, people are like trying to like bend over and try to make it like an excuse for him. I just don't know if we had won. Not that, like, I partially agree with you guys. Obviously, there's no way of knowing. I would have assumed he'd be smarter to say, this is not a good time now. Maybe we'll lose after. Maybe we'll lose in Italy. I'll come out and say it then. Because
I think he already knew. I think he already knew he wasn't starting in Milan.
You were saying that, but I mean, he would be traveling though.
Yes, he would. He would probably be traveling. I kind of feel like the writing's on the wall that he knows this is over. And this was his preemptive way of trying to throw the manager and or literally the coach and the front office, FSG. I think this is him trying to save face. I think he knows he's not playing against Brighton and he's going to clap off the fans before he goes to AFCON and it's over. I genuinely do believe it's over.
It's one of those, like, I'm going to break up with you before you break up with me. So I look better. Yeah. Like, I'm the one that ended it. You guys might be right. I mean, like I say, I can see that if he didn't think that long term. I always thought that, you know, if that game ends 3-2, he takes a totally like different tone of it. But let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously we talked a lot about this aspect of it, but then the whole Slot thing and all that kind of stuff changed afterwards. We knew he was not in there, but, you know, Slot erased any doubts in terms of why he's not traveling with the team. It's because Chiesa has the runs. If you have not watched the pre-match, without literally saying it, he pretty much said that he has the runs over here. Whatever pasta he ate didn't sit well or whatever happened there. Gakpo was injured, but it was very clear why Mo is not traveling. What did you make of? I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. I know you like Mondays, you work and travel and stuff a lot. I don't know if you ever caught like a lot of the quotes that came out of the press conference, but I kind of like watched the whole thing. What do you make of the response or how he addressed the questions?
I mean, I thought he did the best job he could. I think he didn't try to differentiate at all. I thought he tried to be very stern and tried to be confident that, like, you know, if I had done this, he kind of called out the reporters, right? If I had done this, you would have called me weak. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not saying this is personal, but there are things that we make decisions on, and I'm strong and I'm going to stick behind. Listen, I think he was offended by what Mo Salah did and when he did it. And I think you heard in Alisson's comments.
Yes.
Alisson was offended by what he did and when he did it. And he said things like, we'll address it personally because this is a personal matter to all of us. And that to me lets you know the players weren't happy in that. So everyone who wants to come out there with the senior players are not on board with this. No, the senior players aren't on board with anyone making the next step harder. And what Mo Salah did on Saturday night was make everything harder for everyone at the club. Edwards, Hughes, Slot, all the players, all of us supporters. The only person who it didn't get harder for on Saturday night was Mo Salah. Because unfortunately, and I know people in the chat can say things like he's earned the right to be treated differently. No, he hasn't. He is a player on this side. He is a great player. He is a legend of the club. No player deserves to make themselves bigger than the club. Not one, not ever. And he has done it on 3 or 4 different occasions. The whole thing with Klopp, wrong. The thing last year about the contracts, wrong. This, wrong. The thing with Mane, wrong. Anytime life gets hard for Mo Salah, he pushes back and fights. And if you look back and you read some of the articles, he did this in Italy to 2 or 3 different managers as well. He falls out with people, and as soon as he does, he's the first one to throw his toys out the pram. And then he wonders why there's nobody out there trying to defend him. Not the media, not the English writers. And I get it. It's not fair. But a spade's a spade. And unfortunately, he's laid his card a few too many times to now be looking for clarity on it.
Look, and see, I got to bring Angie as a guest one of these shows because we were like talking about this. And in some ways, he has already earned the respect and he has been treated differently. This is a dude who was like, okay, we're not defending because of what he does, right? That for one. Forget that. He's been extremely poor for an extended period of time, and to the point where fans wanted a legend benched, and he was not benched. So he has gotten the benefit of the doubts. Doesn't matter. And, you know, like Serzi is in the chats. He's not the only one. I just am so sick of people making excuses for Mo. Like, how was Mo told? You guys tell me a freaking way how Mo would have been like, oh, well, I see your point there, and be very okay with being benched. This is fucking Mo. This is what he is. This is who he is. And this is probably what a lot of players are with that ego, because there's only a certain number of Mo's in there. So I get the, you know, like the ego and everything like that. That's kind of like partially natural. I mean, we've compared, I don't know, like I was talking about this morning, like Rich was comparing how Robertson handled being benched and stuff. I do understand why Mo would have such a higher ego than like Robertson and stuff like that, even though, you know, Robertson's way is obviously the professional, proper way of handling it. My thing is, this is Mo, and there is no freaking way you can hand him a note, you can hug him, you can like carry him around the meeting room. Doesn't matter what the hell you did. That news was never going to go well, and Mo was never going to be okay with being benched, because he does not think, he thinks he's entitled to start on this team based on history. He freaking thinks and says that he's entitled.
Oh, I was just, he says it. He says it like, I'm not like other players. He basically says, I don't believe I should have to fight for my place. In a season in which he's not creating great numbers, and everyone can pull out all these stats they want. He's got the most assists, the most goals, in a side that's not working. And we've all acknowledged it isn't working. And who's to say that FSG, Edwards, Hughes, whatever, went to Slot after the Forest loss and said, listen, guys, the league is done. We get that. We want you to understand, if you want to keep this job, your job is to figure out how we can compete for the league next year. We need you to finish in the top 4, but you need to start figuring out right now how this side works with these new pieces. And I think they started to lay the foundation of, we got to play Wirtz, we got to play Isak. Eventually, we have to play Ekitike together. There is no room for Mo Salah if those 3 players are playing together. I'm sorry. You'd be hard pressed right now after 15 matches, 18 in all comps, I think 19. If you're going to tell me that there is a way forward where Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, and Mo Salah play at once. I
mean, you can't even take Ekitike out of that equation. I don't even know if the other 3 can play at the same time. The way they're playing. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a world where you can have Mo and Isak and Wirtz unless Mo is doing a lot more work off the ball. And
Well,
so,
and we know that won't happen because
yes,
he can't
because
do it.
he doesn't have to. He's entitled not to.
Even if he was entitled to try to do it, he can't do it anymore. He doesn't have the legs to stay with. He got absolutely done by Cucurella. He put him in his pocket.
Yep.
He made him look like. Now, to be fair, Cucurella did the same thing to Yamal. So he's clearly a better. No, I think he's a better 1v1 defender than we give him credit. We like making fun of him because of the whole Spanish thing and the song and acting like an idiot. But he's a good player, right? Like he's proving himself to be a much better player than he probably was given credit for. We find reasons to give excuses, and then we wonder why the legs might be coming off a 33-year-old player. And he can train as hard as he wants in training. If you're not putting the ball on the pitch, or if you're not putting the ball in the back of the net, you're not tracking back and defending. You're making everything weak around you.
Yeah.
I just can't sit here and defend it. Like we talked about how having a right back made us look stronger defensively between Bradley and Gomez over the last week.
Yep.
Well, part of what made us look better defensively is we had a right wing that was actually dropping back and helping his midfielder and his defenders out.
Yep.
Like, and part of this is what we're asking for out of the number 9s. And yes, they bought Isak to replace Mo Salah. And I do think there was a level of arrogance by the board and the Hughes, Edwards folks. I will admit that. Because I think they thought we can buy these great players, figure out for a year how to make it work with Mo. And then next year we'll build it without him. And then they realized as they were trying to build the plane, this plane doesn't work.
Yeah.
If the right wing is literally tipped over like this. And he wants to be the most forward person. He wants to be the fulcrum of the attack. And honestly, it's never worked at any point when he's not that. He's never wanted to be a center forward. I just don't think it will work. I really don't. I can't see a world that Mo Salah and Isak can play on the pitch at the same time. And I'm starting to think the same way about Wirtz. Ekitike is a little different beast, but Wirtz and Isak, they didn't spend $300 million on them. So the 33-year-old player could absolutely hold the club at ransom.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, look, you have to, because we're saying this based on how they're playing right now and what they give right now, and not necessarily, what can possibly could have been. But I don't know if, look, we just saw Mo talk, right? We know exactly what he said and how he acted. And we're talking about, like, we know how he is. This is his ego. If somebody said, hey, the one thing we're changing now, though, is this year you have to do more defensive work. It's not like last year, because we're hoping the outcome is going to come. The goals and stuff is going to come centrally now. We're hoping, like, from the number 9 position or whatever. I don't think, like, Mo is like, oh, that's fine. I mean, he's not going to want to change that role. I think we're saying it can't work because we're kind of looking at how they play now. I can definitely see Isak and Wirtz. There were a couple of moments this weekend, for example, where you said, I felt, hey, 2 months from now, that's a freaking goal, because that's an assist. Because I almost feel like there is a thing that happens where anybody who's played with somebody else for a long time, that's why that trio, what we had, the front three, was so dangerous, because they did not even have to look sometimes to pass, because how the other person is going to react, where they're going to see, which ball they're going to play, how they're going to play that ball. I really do think a few months from now, if you keep doing this, but you got to be able to play him consistently together, they will be on the same length where Wirtz and Isak will be an excellent duo in terms of like the assistant stuff.
No, I think they will be an excellent duo. My point is, I'm not sure that those two fit with a player like Mo Salah if you're still allowing him to try to be the person who is the most forward. Because
not as he's playing right now. Yeah,
that was my point. And I think what we've seen is he's not willing to change his game. He believes the way he believes everything should run through him. And it felt at the end of the Klopp era Like Klopp was starting to say, it's not all going to run through you.
Yeah.
And that's what he didn't like about it. And let's be real. If Jurgen Klopp does not step down, Mo Salah is not still at the club today. He would have left at the end of that season. They weren't even talking. He didn't even clap him off on his last match. This is where I talk about this guy is, and I think it's what makes him so great.
In some,
it is. It's what makes him so great. But those players have shelf lives. And I think the fact we've gotten 9 years of them, 8.5 years of it, whatever it is, it's an amazing run. He's given us so many memories. I wish there was a way back. I genuinely don't believe there is a way back. I won't be shocked if he ends up going out on loan in January with an obligation to buy for the summer. I honestly think I feel in some ways the deal might already be done. And it's why he made the comments trying to galvanize the fan base. Because I really think he thought everyone was just going to come to Mo's defense. And quickly he realized, man, there are a lot of people here who are throwing me under the bus. They're also saying, get rid of the manager. You can both go.
Yeah.
But no one is actually saying, under all circumstances, Mo Salah has to stay. Because I don't think it works.
I really think so too. Like, if a deal is not officially done, there is definitely going to be a talk. And I can see the loan with, pay his wages until the end of the year. And then, like buy him in the summer, make it official, or just
I'm
make it
talking
official.
where we already know it's a 6-figure deal. The loan is so you get through it and you don't have to negotiate a sell price in the next 10 days.
And not to mention, you don't have to pay his wages. I mean, that's the thing. You're not going to pay that much money for a guy who's going to sit on the bench. Not only sit on the bench, but cause trouble at the same time.
Correct. And I think that's the thing. And when he talks about the players, they don't want me at the club, it very well may be that they had the managerial talks and the talk said, I think we're a better side without him. And that's when Edwards and Hughes says, well, if that's the case, then sit him from here on out. We know he'll throw a temper tantrum. We'll move him in January because we're not paying $400,000 a week from now till the end of the season for a guy you're not going to play. And I don't think he can be an impact sub as much as he'd be a great one because he won't. I mean, let's be real. He comes back from AFCON knackered and terrible for a month and a half. Yeah. I'm not paying this guy till March to get fit again. It makes no sense.
No, I mean, my thing is more than forget the money that you're paying him to sit on the bench. This is a guy who is causing unrest at the same time. And, especially now that he started this, it's only going to get worse. That's why I don't think there is a way back. I know, like, in the chat, some people are saying, like, oh, it's possible and stuff. I don't know if there's a way back because this is going to happen again and again and again. Look, most legends, it always, it's in most cases, it does not end greatly because most legends cannot admit to themselves that, hey, I can't do the same stuff anymore. And I think you can go with that, right? If Mo did not have a great season this season, I think people could still take it as, hey, we had some good days kind of a thing and just like finish off on that note because we've had players who played a lot worse towards the end of their career. Clearly not themselves anymore, not the legends that, we were used to. I mean, Carragher was talking about it. You can talk like Barnes in there, Rush in there, a lot of names who were like all-time greats. I mean, age gets there, catches with everybody, right? So it is going to diminish, but him adding the drama to it, I think is what gives it a bad taste overall. That's why I don't see it like getting any better or improving or him coming back.
Yeah, I just don't think this wasn't a Mo Salah slot situation. If Mo Salah was banging goals, creating, making assists, you look at his underlying numbers, they're pitiful. Yeah. They're so bad. And everyone, he did this number of assists. Take the penalties away. He has 3 goals on the season. He's not scoring from open play. He's not creating from open play. He still is extremely selfish in the final third, never looks for a first pass. And I think that's been one of the problems. Like, he also, his decision making has been poor. He's not tracking back. You can look at past performance. And if we ranked everything on past performance, we'd still be re-signing the older players and we wouldn't have turned over the squad. They bought these players because there was going to be life after Mo Salah. The fact that he was not able to make a move forward makes me realize he knows it's over I think he knows it's over for him at this level. That's a whole nother thing. I think part of these comments is him tapping out because he's not a top 10 player in the Premier League right now. And people will clown that. They'll laugh at that. It's the truth.
Definitely based on form. I mean, I don't know if anybody can argue that right now. I mean, potential-wise, you can't say that. But based on form, that's a very, I think, clear statement.
But I think when you realize your father time catches up to everyone, like eventually you get older, you get slower. And look, in some ways, I wonder if the club didn't wish he had this season last season because it would have made an easier reason to, separate from him and allow him to go. When he scored and played as well as he did last year and they win the league, there's nothing you can do but re-sign the player. It's not true, that fact, but we can keep going on. It's actually,
you just made up a stat, Bob, because
the player who's created the most chances in the league this year is Florian Wirtz, and he has 0 assists, which lets you know where you can take those stats, right? Because he's creating chances for guys who aren't finishing.
Nobody is finishing.
Like Isak.
He's not even he's clearly not first on the team. I think he's behind actually Gakpo on the thing. And Bob, this is why we rarely agree, man. But I mean, the whole point that Bob says, if the remaining 10 from the normal level team would carry Salah into form, I mean, then you could say that for any player, right? Then we could be like, if everybody
why do we pay him?
Konate doesn't have to play great. We'll wait till Konate plays back. Why does everybody have to carry him? Nobody has to carry anybody.
And he has, Bob. Check the goddamn stats. Florian Wirtz has created the most chances in the Premier League this season. The fact that they haven't been taken, that's an Opta stat. It's been all over Twitter, all over. They were talking about it just last week during the broadcast. But here's the thing. You're paying the guy $400,000, not for him. You're paying him to carry your team, not to be carried. And all the players around him didn't get worse. And yes, it's harder for him. He doesn't have Trent behind him. He doesn't have Szoboszlai in the hole. He doesn't have Darwin doing all the work. Do you know why Mo Salah is hurting? Because Jota, Darwin, and Luis Diaz spend every minute of every game trying to make Mo Salah the best player on the pitch. But now it's Isak's job. It's now Isak's job to score the goals and make himself the best player because he's the highest paid player in English football history. It's Wirtz's job because he was the biggest signing in all the European continent. This is the thing. They're no longer catering to Mo Salah. And it's not working for him. And that's okay. Like, that's the thing. That's not a shot at Salah. But anyone saying I'm with Salah on this, I'm sorry, you're not a fan of this football club because no player walks up to a reporter after 460 times of saying no and says, I got 7.5 minutes for you to take a flamethrower to my career, my club, and my coach. That throws his captain under the bus, throws his teammates under the bus, threw his club under the bus, and he threw every single one of us supporters under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how anybody can, we threw Trent, right? Like, nobody is above the club. And this is definitely, I mean, it's very, very naive. I'm sorry, Bob, but very naive.
And no one said he's the worst player.
Told me this, I would say they don't know any better. But I think it's very naive to think that this is. I guarantee you, when Wirtz did not play, he did not come out afterwards and say, "How come I'm not playing? I got signed for all this money. They told me this in the summer and all that kind of stuff." This is more. There's no fucking excuse for this. I think making excuses for this is what's disgraceful, really. Like, trying to make an excuse, trying to blame the manager, the center forward, the right back. Like, we would not make any of these excuses for any other player. Speaking of any other player to make excuses with, because I think Dara has been saying it throughout, and I do agree with him. We are pretty much talking about the past. You can probably enjoy most games in the Arab Emirates or Saudi League or whatever it's going to be. Unfortunately, that's the way it's said. I'm not happy about it. I wish he left on a much better note, but this is him doing it, not anybody else over there. So I'm gonna move on because I mean, we're never going to win against people who have already pitchfork. I just got a response for like the comments I made, and he's like, "Oh, but Solo like Slot can back up with wins." It's like, dude, this is not. If a manager, you can't go after a manager if you're not letting the manager make the changes he thinks that are needed. You can't tell a manager make things work, but you have to play this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. You figure out the rest. But I mean,
we asked for big changes. He made big changes, and results started to come. They might not have been as good as we wanted, but they were better results. They got 3 results in 3 matches after getting 3 pitiful losses. And there was a consistent message during that time. It worked because it was balanced. You know why? Because the first 35 to 45 minutes of all 3 of the matches, West Ham, Sunderland, and Leeds, the number one thing was we didn't concede a goal. We didn't concede a goal because we were organized. Yeah. And it doesn't get, it gets completely overlooked, right? And everyone says, well, you need them to score goals, but they're not scoring goals. Like, that's the crazy part.
That's the problem. And that is the problem. The fact that he doesn't have the outputs, and everybody asked for him to be benched, but now, it's a total different story. No, I just don't understand the thinking behind it. And I mean, it's like that's the show Chops. I don't know if you are you like a
food guy? Yeah.
Where you have to
my wife
play it with the girls at home sometimes. It's almost like what these people are doing is the dessert rounds, where it's like dessert, but one of the ingredients is chorizo. Like, good luck with that kind of a thing. And there's not a lot of chefs that can freaking make that shit happen. So let's move on, because I don't want to bring Ryan's point, because he was talking about Virgil earlier, and I don't want to get back to it, but he was just saying that he doesn't consider Virg to be a top 10 center back this year. I don't know. I would really have to go to the top 10. Definitely not top 3, but I would probably throw him in the top 10. I almost feel like it's definitely like the Virg of the past. But I feel like in the past, he has been the Superman who has been able to cover up for a lot around him. I don't think he's that good anymore. And when he tries to, he just can't. He's not that Superman anymore. That's the way I look at it. I think he's still a great center back. Every center back makes mistakes. And and he has made several like very uncharacteristic stuff. But I think that's a product of trying to patch holes all around you, which he always did, because he was that freaking good. But we talk about the age and everything with that, add frustration to that. I think he's just not that good anymore, where he can make everybody. He's a good center back, but he's not good enough to elevate everybody by a couple of points, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think what my biggest thing with Virg is that in the past, we lauded him for how easy he made it look. And I think when players get older, they reinvent themselves. And I don't feel that Virgil is making any effort to reinvent himself. And what I mean by that is I think he's still where before he could dangle that lazy leg in, but he'd get the block in because it was like this elegant, like, I know where I am. I'll glide into this space. I'll take up this area. And I feel like this year he dangles a lazy leg and it ends up being a deflection into that goes around and takes the ball around alley. Or, he's not closing balls down like he used to. I think I think early in the year, we were all keened in on his demonstrative attitude toward Kirkez, and we just assumed like he's so angry with Kirkez. It's funny, no one's talking about that anymore because he's not yelling at Kirkez anymore because kids put in 2 or 3 good performances out of his last 4 or 5. I think that's quietly right. It's so funny. We start talking about other players. All of a sudden, Kirkez is probably the only person in the world who's happy about this Mo story. He's like, nobody's talking about the left back anymore. Like, I mean, no one's recognizing I'm playing well either because they just want to shit on the left wing. But, I think with Virgil, it was always going to be a big drop off. But I think he has to reinvent himself in a way. you're a center back, as things go and you get older, you get slower, things change, you have to do things a little differently. I don't think Konate as his partner is helping him right now by any
Well,
means.
that's the thing, though, right?
And
If you have somebody a bit more stable next to you, if you have like some kind of a stability, and if you have like somebody semi-solid next to you, it's a lot easier to. I mean, Matush and I had talked about this for quite some time. We always talked about like Thiago Silva, who kind of like extended his career another 4 or 5 years by playing differently than he did in the past.
That was kind of where I was going.
To be able to do that, though, you gotta have somebody next to you. I don't think he's good enough to be, because he's still trying to be the same Superman. You have to understand that he can't be that guy anymore. Let him reinvent himself, but have like some better stability next to him. I mean, like Jimbo says, if only Joe Gomez was not so injury prone. And I think because you can take advantage of at least Joe's pace in that sense, and like that partnership and everything. It's difficult for him to, I think, make that adjustment, Gally, just because of what's around him. Because he's not that good, levels above now, like I was saying, to elevate everybody else around him. He needs a little bit of help now to be,
he does.
himself.
I mean, I don't think it was a mystery that they were looking so deep at Mark Gahey, because I think they saw Mark Gahey as a guy who could both replace Konate and potentially long-term even replace Virgil if it required it. Because he can play on both sides. He plays the right, plays the left. I think he would also probably would have been our first choice right back along the way. It would have allowed you to play Gomez and bled in Leone, and then the injury happens, right? Like, we don't know what would have happened had they had 4 fit center backs. Like, if Leone was still there right now as the fourth choice, I think the manager might have been more apt to give Gomez a run eventually. But when he was down to 3 and one of them is, break glass and emergency only, you worry. And then he's like, well,
he is the glass.
Well, then he's like, I got no choice. I got to put him in at right back. And then it gets better when he's there. And then, you go and start Bradley, and then Bradley goes and gets injured. So now someone's got to play the San Siro, and then someone's got to start next week because Bradley picks up another meaningless yellow that has them suspended for the next match against Brighton in the league. So I struggle with getting on the manager, because the coach, because he didn't buy these players. He tried to acquire players. I'll criticize him that he's given up on some younger players. That's fine. If you want to do that, I get it. But I've said all along, they're not firing this manager anytime soon. And I didn't think it was coming because Mo Salah went to the mixer and tried to stir shit up. And I almost think he gave him an extra month because of the comments. Because the last thing Hughes and Edwards are going to ever look like is like, we're Manchester United and the players have the power. Yes. Because I said this in the Discord chat and people were like, oh, Gally, that's a stretch. No, we all clowned the last 8 to 10 years of Manchester United because those players have run managers out of jobs and then showed up playing well a week later. If they fired Arne Slot tomorrow, brought in any manager but Jurgen Klopp, and it got a new manager bounce, I would be more pissed off at the players than I am today. And I'm pissed off at them now.
Yeah, I think they have definitely extended. Mo has definitely backfired in that sense. I don't think it was imminent anyway. I figured it would at least be till January and stuff. I think, and yes, thank you, Jimbo. Where have you been, man? Good morning to you. But yeah, Salah did the same in the club. All these people who are out there, like, it is so freaking comical, man. Like the inconsistencies of what people say on social media. Heck, in our chat over here, just freaking kills me, because these people are like, you can be slot out. I'm okay with that. I am more than okay with that. And you probably can make like a really good case based on the results alone, right? But don't make bullshit claims like, oh, he's not a good person, like manager of like personalities and egos. That's why we need Klopp and stuff. Klopp could not bench Mo. He played like 850 games straight. And the only one time he took him off early, he took off Mane and caused the freaking fight and scene, whereas he should have taken off Mo because Mo was the guilty party. Klopp did not do it because he knew who Mo was, and he knew he could talk sense into Mane, but not into Mo. But all that we forget. Everything is forgotten. No, it's all Slot's fault and stuff.
That's
So
because they're down. The comments are just hilarious, but the truth of the matter is, the only way Jurgen Klopp would come back to this club, even as a caretaker manager, is if number 11 wasn't here. He left over that.
True.
Like,
That's another
if
thing.
you actually think you want him back because you want to fire Slot and he'll take us till after the World Cup and you can hire, whatever World Cup manager or Nagelsmann or whoever's available, right?
Yep.
That would mean he knows the player's leaving.
Yes.
Like, they didn't want to work together. They weren't even talking together for the last 5 weeks they were there. It is really, really hilarious. Like, the revisionist history that our supporters have and the way we try to bend ourselves into pretzels. It's unbelievable. If any player did this at any time, we would slate them at any other club. When Marcus Rashford went on national TV last year talking about wanting to play for Barcelona while still contracted at Manchester United, we clowned him. We said, well, that would never happen at our club. This guy walked out into the mix zone and literally took a flamethrower to everyone at the club. And people are bending over backwards to try to make it okay. It's never going to be okay, ever.
No, and it shouldn't be. And, love Mo, love what he's done. I wish it ended on a better note. It kind of reminds me, it kind of like saddens me in that sense. I was telling Matush this morning too, like when old highlights come out and you watch Coutinho, who I loved watching, like as a player, not only because he was a Liverpool player, but as a player, just loved watching like what he did, like the little magician and everything. But now you watch all those with wish it ended better, right? It's not like a positive note. And sadly, that's how it's going to be. I don't get that with Mane. Honestly, I don't, because he did not leave in these terms. I know the whole Champions League, before the Champions League thing, he did and all that, but I definitely don't get it with Bobby and stuff. And, I just watched the video the other day. They were showing like all these goals they scored together as a trio and stuff like that. I was like, holy cow. But that goes back to what I was saying. There are some passes in there where like, they're just passing to an area knowing that guy is going to be there. So that takes time to kind of put together. And I think, down the road that will happen. But let's see what, honestly, like my biggest takeaway from today, those press conferences, going back to what you were saying about Ali, is I listen to Ali and I get a sense, and knowing Ali and his relationships with all the other players and stuff, that nobody in that locker room was like, yeah, about time somebody said it. That everybody was hoping who are Slot out and stuff like that would, or more, including Mo himself, that, some players would back him. I think it was more like listening to Ali. They took it more like, this is the last freaking thing we needed right now. Thanks a lot.
Could you imagine, after being up 3-2 in the 86th minute and thinking you're going to win that match, to then conceding the way you do in stoppage time? And like, you're showering, you're all getting ready. You're about to get on the most miserable coach back to Liverpool from Leeds of all time. Like, it couldn't have been a happy, fun place. And they all have to get on that thing, hearing what Mo Salah just did.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine if I'm Soboslai, if I'm Ekitike, I'm so irritated. Like, we actually put in good performances, like, and you go make it all about yourself when you don't even play. Like, you didn't even get off the bench. And to be fair, we didn't need you. They were up 2-0. The game should have been seen out. If it isn't for the ridiculous Kanate play, and to be fair to Ali, he doesn't cover himself in glory in the second goal. I thought Curtis Jones was really good in that match against Leeds. Really bad on the second goal. Turns the ball over, bad spot.
I mean, I know what you mean for the second goal for Ali, but man, nobody should have that much goddamn time inside the box.
No. And he just guesses the wrong way. It just isn't perfect. And listen, you can't call someone the best goalkeeper in the world, and then when he doesn't make, and his distribution was mediocre throughout the day. I thought he put us in trouble a few times as well. Like, I think I feel like that's been a real kind of setback with him. But I can't. I really can't. I don't understand where the balance is in this group anymore. I just don't understand where we're going. I genuinely think this side, we're so hell-bent on blaming someone or picking a side. We can't just recognize that the club itself is in a huge bit of transition, but the club has backed the players and the coach, and one player has decided not to back the club and instead to back the club into a corner. And here's the thing, at this age, on those wages, it's not the smartest bet, in my opinion.
No, it's not. And like I say, like when you read, if you actually listen to if you listen to what Ali is saying, he's not going to be like, he didn't call out anybody, but if you listen to what he's saying, what I get out of that is a guy who's not too thrilled and saying exactly what we're saying. This is the last thing that the club needed from a so-called leader, is this doing what he just did. And if you want to excuse that and jump on that bandwagon because you want somebody fired, you do that. But don't come to me next year when another player says something and be like, oh, this is unexcusable and stuff. If nobody's bigger than the club, nobody's bigger than the fucking club. And if you're going to say that, you can't then put a comma and be like, unless, and all that kind of stuff. Unless I want the manager gone too and stuff. And like I say, you can be Slot out, but if Slot out is like mushing your brain to the point that you're just like dribbling stuff at this point, then yeah, it might as not be around for a while. But that's why I kind of left our Discord temporarily, because I just feel like we are just not thinking anymore. Like we just want blood. It's like become like Middle Ages. We just want somebody thrown to the lions to make everything better, but it's not. I mean, there's, like you're saying, it's a transition. It's probably going to be painful, but I do still think the quality is there. I don't think this is going to make things suddenly a lot better or a lot worse. I think this was going to be painful. I mean, we'll briefly talk about tomorrow's game, but I do think that's not a great time to be going away to Inter Milan. In some ways, it is. Do you think what happens kind of galvanizes things, or it's just more of the same? I almost, like, part of me says it's going to be more of the same, at least for another month or two, until some pieces settle, or maybe you do bring Gay in and stuff like that in like January.
So I don't want to go here and be like, oh, it's going to galvanize things. They're going to just take off and the whole team's going to just rally around Mo leaving, because that's so unfair, because he's done so much good work and he's been such a great ambassador to the club. We wouldn't know if that were the case if these comments didn't happen. So we'll all have, if they go on some run over the next 8 to 10 matches, you know what it's going to be. Oh, addition by subtraction. They got rid of him, and that won't be the case. But that's what we're going to hear, because this is what people do.
Like, you see how people like who think 85 different things can, join in one enemy in getting Slot fired and suddenly be on the same page. I feel like maybe something like this might galvanize it, but you're probably right. I don't think it was holding him back anyway.
If it does galvanize them, it's only because they had the common denominator will be, don't listen to the media noise. That's what they'll claim it's about. We blocked out all the media noise. We didn't block out, right? You know what I mean? Like, it'll be more about we took out the outside noise and we blocked out the media and we used them to formulate this push forward. It's going to happen if the teams start playing well together. Like, that's all there is. But like it comes down to, does Isak get fit, and can Isak and Ekitike play together? Because if Gakpo's out for a period, Chiesa isn't an option to start. Rio's not an option to start. We are going to see an awful lot of Ekitike Isak converts. And we're going to probably see more Szoboszlai, maybe even more McAllister, right? Like, that to me is what's going to happen. If the manager goes back to a small squad, everyone said like last year he didn't rotate enough. And then this year he rotates more, and people are like, why is he making these substitutions late in games when we're leading? We just need to see out results. And it's like, well, they have to play on Tuesday. We already have 4 guys hurt and 3 guys sick. Like, at this point, he can't win. And I just think that in this situation, the only way he gets to win is if they start stringing some results together. But that's going to take the players taking some accountability for what's happening on the pitch and sticking up to adversity, because the first sign of adversity and they turtle. And you can blame a manager all you want. And I've seen all the talk in the chat about tactics and all this. You can't set a team up for 70 minutes at 0-0 and then have a guy give away a stupid penalty, then give up 3 and blame the manager for a bad setup in tactics and lineup. I'd say he got it right if you get to 70 minutes and you haven't conceded. That's on the goddamn dogs on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's really on Kanate. That was going to be a Slot special, 2-0. We were going to lull them to sleep, I think, with our passing in the back and basically keeping possession. And I knew the moment it turned 2-1. And I think that's where we're at right now. It's very fragile. I'm already like a pessimist, but I think the team itself is fragile when they're waiting for something to go wrong. And that was it. And then, like by the time they composed themselves, it was 2-2. I thought actually it showed a lot that they came back and they scored and made it 3-2. And I really do think if they saw that out, it would have been a huge away win. It just basically did not ultimately happen. Do you think we see tomorrow, knowing, it's a Tuesday game and you have time till the weekend, do you think we see this 4-4-2 lineup we made a while back, even if it is a 4-2-2-2 kind of a setup where you have, because I mean, it's lack of options unless you're throwing somebody in there that is going to be like a shocker. It almost like makes sense to just fill in with starters unless there's a surprise somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a surprise in there. I think maybe you get the Isak Ekitike tomorrow, but even that seems like it might be a stretch. Here's the problem. Neither of them can play 90 minutes.
And that goes back to like almost like playing Gomez. Like, how are you going to sub him out? Because there's nobody else to put in for them. Like, I don't know. Like, if they start together and like you said, they can't do 90, like who would come in for them?
Well, that's, I mean, this is really what the issue is. They basically have 13 players to go to Italy tomorrow with. Like, I mean, you're literally going where Rio is your first sub off the bench.
Yeah.
As an attacker. You're going there with maybe McAllister or Jones on the bench?
Probably, yeah.
And you got to start Bradley at right back because he can't play right back on the weekend. So probably going to have to start Gomez there. So are you comfortable starting Gomez tomorrow at center back? I would start Gomez at center back tomorrow. I really would. I feel like it's time. I think it's time to give him a run out at center back. And maybe an Italian match might little slower, a little less physical, less wear and tear on the body. I just, I struggle with what you're supposed to do here with if you're this head coach. Like you've been ravaged with injuries. I love now it's he doesn't use his subs and Klopp used all the subs when all we said for 9 years was he didn't rotate enough. Like it's just
I don't think I ever subbed before the 80th minute, man.
It's unbelievable.
Just ignore
I mean, maybe Endo. I hate saying it because I told you on a pod once I never wanted to see Endo start for Liverpool ever again. Like maybe against an Italian side, maybe you do have to kind of mail it in. I want to go all in for this Champions League. I want to get in the top 8. I don't want to have to play in the playoff. I think to do that, you probably need a result tomorrow at minimum, if not a win. It's tough. I think they put themselves in such a bind, but at this point, you just have to roll with what you have, and you need to try to prepare and get yourself right for Brighton. I mean, it's crazy to say this. You got to play a match tomorrow and still have players fit, ready to play for Brighton.
I'd love it if we won tomorrow, but I have a feeling of dreads. Yeah, I do too. I'm kind of worried about this one, knowing I watch not full games usually. Here and there I'll catch some full games, but I do end up like watching a lot of like highlights and stuff like that. But it's not like I worry about this Inter Milan team. They do have that midfield is pretty darn strong. and like they do have some weapons that the shaky defense might not be able to like kind of control. Bob, man, I don't know where you get these stats. You're killing me today, but you live in a different dimension. It's like Stranger Things. You're living in like the other world or something like that, because go pull up some stats, look at those. Club never subbed. I think we played, unless somebody was dead, you never saw somebody from the bench playing. Hence, that's why we have diminished
You're absolutely wrong, Bob.
careers of a guy like like Genie and Fabinho and stuff, because they can barely walk anymore.
Absolutely wrong. But hey, it's okay.
As we
Teach
go,
their own.
What do you expect for a scoreline tomorrow? Let's end with some predictions.
To be honest, I think the best case scenario is like a 1-1 draw. I don't feel good about it. Coupled with the fact that Liverpool has not fared well over the recent years, any matches in Italy, let alone in the San Siro. If you made me bet on the match, I'd bet on a loss.
Yeah, that's why I'm only going to predict a draw, because I'm not going to predict a loss over there. I'm going with a 2-2 draw, which I think was my prediction for the Leeds game. Ended up being a 3-3. But yeah, I expect a similar game. I do think we find some space and
29 senior players. That team never had 29 senior players ever. Not even
like Master. I don't know, Jimbo. Don't feed the frenzy, man. I mean, yeah, I don't understand what. I think we go back episodes. We would do this we didn't even try to predict the lineup in the Klopp days, because it was the same starting 11 unless somebody was out. Like literally every single game, it was the same starting 11. Ox and Lallana could not make the bench because they were probably injured, Bob. Knowing especially like Ox and Lallana, like two names. No, I mean, I don't think he had a deeper team. I actually think Klopp did not want a deeper team. I think that was kind of like his style.
Exactly. He always said 18 to 20 at the tops. And Slot, to his credit, said 20 to 21. This is normal. Like, this is just revisionist history. This is what we do. People want to make things about the past because the past was great. You know, last year he won with Klopp's team, but for 2 straight years, Klopp had the exact same side with no new purchases, and they couldn't win. But, you know, he won with his team. It's just how we roll. It's the easiest thing to do is to bang on the guy who's here now, because it isn't the guy who was here before. Arne Slot is not Jurgen Klopp, doesn't deserve the same reveled level of Jurgen Klopp.
No.
But to be fair, when we lost 6 out of 7 matches at home during the COVID season, I don't remember anyone screaming for Jurgen Klopp's head. And that was because
sadly, there were some crazies then.
And there were crazy people then too. It just wasn't as loud because we didn't have the expectations we have now, because we didn't win the league last year. We won the league last year because the manager did a pretty damn good job. We just like to forget about it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, obviously Klopp had a lot more credit, and I understand that. That's totally fair. Klopp a lot more credit to go, kind of like, you know, like when we talk about Mo not scoring for a long time, he had a lot of credit, so you waited a lot longer to say, yeah, your form is really shit, kind of a deal. So that's totally fair. But yeah, we're kind of like going back and trying to change history to kind of justify now. And I think that's what I'm like not understanding. You can be slot in, you can be slot out. I don't care. Everybody's going to have their opinion. You might want to change a lot faster than everybody else. You might not, you know, like value it and stuff like that. But my thing is, it's just, it should not blind you to facts and like other things, like excusing Mo, like, you know, blaming everything on like one thing and stuff like that. Gotta be able to think a bit bigger picture for that. I would hope to God, but it is what it is. What was your final score prediction? I'm sorry.
I mean, I said one. No, I said 1-1 if anything works. He did actually, but I said 1-1. Probably the ugliest way out of it. But if you asked me to actually bet on it, I would say we probably lose the match 2-1, 2-0. I don't feel good about it at all.
I hope not. I don't feel about it good either, but let's hope so. Sometimes maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction to what has happened over there. And I don't even know if there'll be a reaction. I mean, and I don't even know if we have it right now in us to give that reaction.
What will be great is if they go out there and they put in some huge performance and players look like they show up and play hard and everybody tries to spin it. all the people that want to make this about Slot or make this about Salah try to make the argument of why what happened on Saturday is why this works. So if you're pro Slot, it'll be because the team rallied around the coach and didn't want to
Yes.
let him down. And if you're anti-Slot, it'll be this was not because of Slot. It was because they're stepping up for Salah and they're trying to show that they still care and have heart. What it really comes down to is you shouldn't be rooting for Slot. You shouldn't be rooting for Salah. You should root for the club.
Yes.
And anyone who puts the club first knows that the players and the coach don't matter if the club is the first one. And only one of them has been trying to keep it consistent and stay at a high level. And one made it all about themselves. And if you guys find one quote from Arne Slot that makes it all about himself and not about taking ownership for the players, or you can find me one quote this year where Mo Salah says a single thing that criticizes his play and doesn't make an excuse for why he's not succeeding, I would love to read it because it's why Caro went at him. It's why Simon Jordan went at him. I hate to say it. Most of England is lining up to take shots at him because he hasn't exhibited one iota of accountability all season long for what's happening at this club. And he's the highest paid person at the club. And if the first thing you do is throw everyone under the bus, you probably have to get off the bus.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's sad that it's kind of like looks like it's ending that way. I do agree with Cersei. It would be very typical of this team to get a huge away win and then like struggle
lose by 4 at
home. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I would not be surprised. Meanwhile, Bob is listing names of players who you only saw on League Cup games. So that's like a
honestly,
fine list we're putting
just so
together.
we're clear. He ran them off 11 midfielders, 4 of which never played in the same side together. But it's great that you just randomly named off midfielders that played during the Klopp era.
Yeah, I think that's just like revisionist history. Hopefully, we'll see what happens over there because nobody threw Salah under the bus, but he definitely threw the club,
threw the whole club
Slots and the club under the bus, and his teammates too.
Yeah,
and that's like I say, that's the impression I
got. He basically said, I can't be held accountable for the results we've been having because I'm not playing, which is basically saying I'm the only one who can save us. I'm the only one who can fix this. I am the chosen one. And this is the thing. This is a club that's never had those players. Like that's a Ronaldo-esque moment. That's what Ronaldo used to do. Like that's what players you don't want do. And we laugh at Arsenal players and United players for those types of actions. And the hypocrisy is just crazy.
Look, I get to like the ego. Like I say, I get the ego and it's called for. Yeah, we're going in circles. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. I'm kind of like sticking to mine on this one. I don't think if you're going to say no one is bigger than the club, to me, that includes Mo Salah as well. Regardless of what you think of the manager, what you think of the results and everything like that, that includes Mo Salah, because that also includes Slot. That also includes club. Nobody's bigger than the club, and that's the club we're rooting for. And I do want the club to win. And if that's what Slot, that's great. If that's not what Slot, that's fine too. But I just hate that there are fans who are almost reveling in the misery because they have an agenda. And this is what I mean by agenda. They want to be fucking right. They don't want Liverpool to win. They want to be fucking right. And that's the problem I have. That's why I call it an agenda. And that's why I keep harping on that, because I almost sense that people are liking the misery because it fuels the agenda they have. And that's
Jan Moby was bigger than the club because he was wider than the pitch. But
nobody else could get in the play.
There was no getting around him. Like people would be like, you couldn't get around that guy. No, you couldn't get around him. You would literally be in row 2. But I just come back to everything we said earlier. We're desperate for us to get back to winning ways. I would love for them to find a way. I would love for there to be a mea culpa, I want this to be the way it is. I'm going to fight for the badge. I'm going to work with the manager. I'm going to work with the head coach. If Edwards and Hughes were going to fire this guy, they would have done it by now. Like, I don't
Or
believe.
honestly, it could be. We were talking about this morning. Maybe the person they want right now is not available, and I'm okay
Well,
with them waiting as opposed to getting
and
an intern.
And this is what I think is why they said we're going to make sure we balance this out and we're going to give this time. And ultimately, we're going to see where this goes. And I think the writing was on the wall that that message got back to certain members of the dressing room who weren't willing to wait if that meant sitting on the bench. And I give them all the I wish him all the best. And I hope it works out. And I hope he comes back and apologizes and it all comes back and he can play for the club again. But even if he does, if things go right anytime soon, it's because things get figured out while he's away, which means there's not a starting spot for him when he comes back, which also means we deal with all of this again in February. And I want no part of that for the rest of the season. We need an answer to this problem. And it'll be interesting over the next week to 10 days to see what that answer is.
That's why I hope to God we get the win tomorrow, and these voices next week could be, I don't know. I mean, like I say, I don't know. Like I say, I'm not gonna spend. We already went way over tonight. I knew we would because there's so much to talk about, and I appreciate everybody's comments. Even if I don't get with Bob, I appreciate you, Bob. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And what else was I going to ask for? I forgot. Socials. I was going to ask you guys for socials. If you are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, for God's sakes, Twitter and stuff, make sure if you go to our website, there's a link to every single one of them. If you give us some love there, it would really go a long way and we would appreciate it. But hopefully Wednesday morning when I'm back in action, we'll be talking about a win. Have an awesome week, everybody. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.